Hey guys, I came across this document online and I think it's very telling. So I'm going to go over some of the details and show you it. I'll also, as usual, leave a link to where you can find this document and go through it yourself and see for your own eyes what I'm saying. I'll quickly give you an idea of the page. This is an archive. So here we go. This is the cover. I want to point out to you, well, let's go ahead and look at the table of contents real quick. Why scenarios, why technology, the focal question, the scenario framework. And this is where I wanted to focus. I wanted to show you that one of these scenarios is playing out in great detail, exactly as things are playing out in our lives right now. And keep in mind, this was made in 2010, May of 2010, and it was produced by the Rockefeller Foundation. So here we go. Let me quickly show you the focal question that they propose in here. It says, how might technology affect barriers to building resilience and equitable growth in the developing world over the next 15 to 20 years? Keep in mind, this was written 10 years ago. And it defines those two words. It says resilience refers to the capacity of individuals, communities, and systems to survive, adapt, and grow in the face of changes, even catastrophic incidents. Equitable growth involves enabling individuals, communities, and institutions to access new tools, practices, resources, services, and products. So basically, kind of as the name of the report says, the name of it is Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. So they're wondering how they can use technology to basically shape the whole world in the future. And, they mentioned catastrophic incidents. And basically, they're going to give us tools, practices, resources, services, and products to help facilitate this future trend of growing into the new world order. I mean, the international development. All right, so now this is page 10. Let's go to page 12 and look at the scenario framework. They give a few different scenarios. This image right here does a good job. So you've got lockstep, clever together, hack, attack, and smart scramble. Now, the two on the bottom over here, hack, attack, and smart scramble, hack, attack, it says an economically unstable and shock-prone world in which governments weaken. So basically, when government is weak, criminals thrive and dangerous innovations emerge. Basically, governments weaken, everything goes to hell. That's their narrative, right? We don't want that. We don't want the two bottom ones. Look at smart scramble, an economically depressed world in which individuals and communities develop localized makeshift solutions to a growing set of problems. Again, economically depressed. We don't want that either. We want to be up here. How do we be up here? Well, if you look at this line right here, political and economic alignment. So basically, the government needs to merge with the businesses, to get us over on the top two options, which are the ones that they're making sound appealing. So let's look at them. Lockstep. Now, okay, let me point out this other line. Over here is low, to the right is high, and it measures adaptive capacity. So what they're saying is, if we don't adapt to this new technology, we're going to be over on lockstep. And if we do adapt, look, everyone's touching the world. All these look bad. But if we give the government the power over the economy, and we all go with this technological plan, we'll all be taking care of the world in this utopian prison planet. Anyway, let's look over the hack attack. The clever together. I'm sorry. Let's look at both these. Lockstep. A world of tighter, top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership, with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Does that sound familiar? We will be going over that here in a minute. I'll be reading you the part from this lockstep scenario in particular. And you can read more details on the rest of them if you'd like. I'll quickly go over Clever Together. It says, a world in which highly coordinated and successful strategies emerge for addressing both urgent and entrenched worldwide issues. So clearly this is the one that they're trying, like, when you in sales, you give people a few different packages and you try to lead them over in one direction for the packages. And the Clever Together is the one that they are trying to, I guess, push us towards. But which one is the one that seems the most accurate today? Lockstep. That is the one. So let's take a look at Lockstep. Again, Lockstep is a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership and growing citizen pushback. I won't read every single word on here. I'll just point out some of the main pieces, but it is eerie how close it is, basically right hitting the nail on the head with what's going on at the very moment. So remember, this is written in 2010, and this is just a fictional scenario, supposedly. In 2012, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years finally hit. That already sounds accurate. Unlike 2009's H1N1, this new influenza strain originating from wild geese was extremely virulent and deadly. Didn't come from wild geese, but hey, the coronavirus, they don't know where it came from, so, but it's close. Even the most pandemic prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months, the majority of them healthy young adults. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt, debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Even locally, normally bustling shops and office buildings sat empty for months, devoid of both employees and customers. Does that sound familiar? That sounds like our world right now, at least right here where I'm at in Orlando. The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers died in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central America, where the virus spread like wildfire in the absence of official containment protocols. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. The United States' initial policy of, quote, strongly discouraging, unquote, citizens from flying proved deadly in its leniency, accelerating the spread of the virus not just within the U.S., but across borders. So they're already saying, particularly the U.S.'s initial policy of strongly discouraging citizens, proved deadly with its leniency. So that's what, everyone is criticizing the government, Trump in particular right now, for not taking action fast enough and all this other stuff. I mean, this is happening right now. It says, however, a few countries did fare better, China in particular. The Chinese government's quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of the virus far earlier than in other countries and enabling a swifter post-pandemic recovery. Wow, this is happening right now. If you look at this post on Politico, and there's plenty more, Trump's mismanagement helped fuel coronavirus crisis. A lot of people on social media are blaming Trump. I'll just quickly show you this New York Times article. I'm not subscribing. China hits a coronavirus milestone. No new local infections. And this is March 18th, So this is the propaganda. This is the narrative. This is the narrative that was laid out 10 years ago in the scenario narratives lockstep version. All right? Let's continue reading and see if anything else sounds familiar. It says, China's government was not the only one that took extreme measures to protect its citizens from risk and exposure. I mean, listen to how they word that. It's kind of like extreme measures are necessary because hey, they're protect its citizens from risk and exposure. So basically, if you don't take extreme measures, you're not protecting your citizens. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their authority. And I've said it before many times, I think that's what this is about. The coronavirus is giving them the opportunity to flex their authority. And that's why they went so hard, so fast. This is to show you that they run everything. They run the world. And I think I think it's like a psychological warfare game that they're playing. I think they're going to be analyzing our behaviors, which is all over in this document, by the way. But I think they're just testing us. It's a beta test to see how we respond, to see where we're at with this whole thing, to see which narrative they need to go with, and so on and so forth. And that's why it's important to watch this, share this stuff, think outside the box, because I think our reaction to this has a lot to do with our future. So, if you haven't already, like the video, please subscribe for future videos, share it with a friend. Don't be afraid to share this information. This is a real document. This is not conspiracy theory. Let's continue. So, national leaders around the world flexed their authority and imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces like train stations and supermarkets. Here's an article from the dailymail.com. Dr. Fauci says the U.S. should seriously consider copying China and testing every shopper with a thermometer before allowing them in stores. I mean, this is exactly to the T what they are saying in this document 10 years ago. And look, this is March 23rd, 2020. All right, so let's keep on reading. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. This is what I'm concerned about. I think this is going to happen. I don't know how quick. I think this is more of a 10-year plan, so it may happen over the course of 10 years. In fact, I think they're going to really tighten their grip a whole lot, so that way when they release their grip a little bit, we're just glad that we can actually drive outside again, maybe have groups together larger than 10 so you can actually have a decent birthday party again, and we'll be grateful for it. And then they'll slowly, one by one, take away more freedoms after that. And it won't be as noticeable. So then by the time you wake up in 2030, you're living in a totally different world that you never thought would exist. Anyways, I think that's what's going to happen here. And actually it's already happening in China, because China is already saying, look, China hits a milestone, no more cases, but they still have the draconian measures, even though they don't have the coronavirus anymore. They still are getting their body temperatures checked. They're still getting tracked and spied on with a mass surveillance state. And the infectious disease experts think that we need to copy that. Again, this is all planned. This is pretty clear. Make up your own mind. I'll keep on reading a little bit more. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. That's where we're at right now. I'm shocked, but almost everyone is cool with this, and they think I'm crazy. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy. Again, we don't have the First Amendment. We're not allowed to peacefully assemble in groups. We don't have the Second Amendment. They shut down all the gun stores where I'm at, and in many other places too. The Fourth Amendment, they are the government in the U.S. is tracking us with our cell phones now to help with the coronavirus. So This is all happening right now. It says give up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. Citizens were more tolerant and even eager for top down direction and oversight, and national leaders had more latitude to impose order in the ways they saw fit. In developed countries, this heightened oversight took many forms. Biometric IDs for all citizens, for example, and tighter regulation of key industries whose stability was deemed vital to national interest. I mean, wow. In many developed countries, enforced cooperation with a suite of new regulations and agreements slowly but steadily restored both order and, importantly, economic growth. Trump right now is ordering, I think it was Ford, or maybe, no, maybe it was GM. Yeah, it was GM to start making masks. So we're already seeing these big corporations being enforced to cooperate, basically nationalized, and the biometric IDs for all citizens that they're talking about. Trump is telling everyone that he's going to have, everyone, if they want to come in the country, they're going to have biometric IDs. This is all coming, you guys. This is all been written, and it's all right here in this document. I won't read anymore because you're probably getting bored hearing me read, but I'll just touch over a few more things. Like, let's look at the technology in lockstep. Scanners using advanced functional magnetic resonance imaging technology become the norm at airports and other public areas to detect, this is freaky, hold on, to detect abnormal behavior that may indicate, quote, antisocial intent. Now, I don't even know what that means. If you guys have an opinion over what that may mean, antisocial intent, let me know in the comments below. But basically, they're talking about scanners to detect abnormal behavior. Are you going to be getting harassed because some technology detected abnormal behavior? Is it the thought police? They're gonna stop you at the airports or over on the side of the road because their device says that you are, there's something wrong with you. Okay, the next one. In the aftermath of pandemic scares, smarter packaging for food and beverages is applied first by big companies and producers in a business-to-business environment, and then adopted to individual products and consumers. So this has not happened yet that I'm aware of. If you know of any examples, let us know in the comments below. But I would imagine we're going to start seeing this here really soon. All these technologies are things to look out for in the future, in the very near future. But again, if you look over here at the timeline, they have 20 years that they're mapping this out from the time of the pandemic. So this is I believe it's not going to happen in 20 years. I think it's going to happen still by the same 2030. I think it's going to happen within the next 10 years. But, whatever, 10 or 20 years. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. All right, so it says new diagnostics are developed to detect communicable diseases. Wow, what does that mean? This is the application of health screening also changes. Screening becomes a prerequisite for release from a hospital or prison, successfully slowing the spread of many diseases. So, what does this mean? I mean, they're going to come out with some sort of technology that can detect communicable diseases. I mean, don't we already have that? What are they talking about? Are they going to be able to detain you because their technology shows that you have some disease? Like even the coronavirus, that you can be asymptomatic. They said for 7 days, 14 days. Now they're saying maybe even 30 days. So basically you could feel fine and they could use their diagnostics and determine, no, even though you're asymptomatic, you have a disease, you may be contagious, we need to take you to a FEMA camp. All right, let's read the next bullet. telepresence technologies respond to the demand for less expensive, lower bandwidth, sophisticated communication systems for populations whose travel is restricted. It's exactly what's going on right now with the social distancing. And the schools are closed down, but then they're doing online schools. You know, businesses are having to buy computers for their employees so their employees can work at home. Things like that. This is where it's all going. Last bullet point. Driven by protectionism and national security concerns, nations create their own independent, regionally defined IT networks, mimicking China's firewalls. Governments have varying degrees of success in policing internet traffic, but those efforts nevertheless fracture the World Wide Web. Now, once that happens, we are screwed. That's why you need to join my newsletter. Go to my website, theawarenessrevolution.com. You'll see it. You also get a free ebook that I wrote years ago. Let me know what you think about it. But that way, at least if we get kicked off the social media like YouTube, we can still keep in touch. But ultimately, I think we all need people's cell phone numbers. Maybe we need ham radios. We need to start thinking about this and looking into this stuff. I'm not super tech savvy, but I know people who are, and we probably need to start thinking about alternative ways to communicate. If they start, as they worded it in here, policing internet traffic, it's coming. It's very likely going to happen here in the land of the free. So it's something to consider, because right now you have access to everyone. You have access to all these videos. I mean, they're censoring the internet. They're censoring my videos. I'm actually surprised that you're even here. And if you're here and you've watched this far, this long through the video, you're awesome. So thank you. But, while we have access to this information and we can communicate with each other, we need to use it to start preparing for the next stage of this process, this plan that's being that's unfolding right in front of our eyes. So it will likely be harder to communicate, likely be harder to understand ham radios and alternatives for everything once they put their grip over the internet. So while we have it, guys, use it to ensure your freedom in the future. All right, now Clever Together. This is their utopian model. I mean, I'm putting, that's my own spin on it. But basically, this is basically the success. And it's largely due to technologies. So basically, one way to think of it is, they're like, adapt to the new technologies that are here to protect us from things like climate change and disease and stuff. Like over here, coordinated efforts to tackle long entrenched problems like hunger, disease, and access to basic needs took hold. New inexpensive technologies like better medical diagnostics and more effective vaccines improved healthcare delivery and health outcomes. All right, so this tells you what they're going to do. New technologies for better medical diagnostics and more effective vaccines. What are they doing right now? They're working on a better test. What are they working on? A vaccine. What's Bill Gates working on? A 6-in-1 vaccine with a computer chip in it. With his project, ID 2020. This is the end game. I'm going to do more videos about that, so make sure to subscribe and check out those videos as I expose Bill Gates and he's got like a damn octopus, he's got his tentacles all over this thing. He's got 8 arms, and I'll do a video on that. But just quickly before I let you guys go, I just wanted to kind of run over some of this. So they mentioned the cost of capturing data through nano sensors and smart network falls precipitously. And basically it says, this leads to a proliferation of new and useful services, including surveillance, instead of surveillance, it's, anyway, mechanisms that improve governance and enable more efficient use of government resources. They mentioned smart cities, a malaria vaccine. Um, they mentioned solar. So all this sounds pretty good, right? Just adopt the new technology. It's here to save us, guys. And then they give a silly example of what life will be like. And just to summarize what this is, basically it's like they come up with meat that's only 50% meat, and the rest of it's derived. It's a combination of synthetic meat, fortified grains, and nano flavoring, and that's what the whole thing is about. Basically, meat, and it has a harmful impact on the planet. It's not as healthy either. So what they do is they make meat substitute. It's a healthier alternative, they say, because it contains less real meat. What do we see happening out right now? We've got the explosion of Beyond Burgers, and that kind of thing, where even the fast food restaurants are now serving what is it called? Whataburgers, or I don't even know the name of them, but basically fake meat substitutes. The vegans are loving this. They think it's a great win. I was a little, I shouldn't say little. I was very, very suspicious of the skeptical of their whole program once I saw companies like Burger King getting involved and having the Beyond Burger Whopper and stuff like that. The way I see it, you shouldn't be eating any of that stuff. We shouldn't be applauding for Burger King as they roll out a bunch of GMO, fake, basically processed food crap. If you're gonna eat meat, eat like grass-fed burgers, eat grass-fed meat, eat wild caught. Not just because it says wild caught in the store, but make sure it's really wild caught, because they're tricking people on that, and making GMO salmon, calling it wild caught, so it sounds like it was caught in the ocean. But anyway, so this is pretty accurate to what we're experiencing. Now you could say maybe that's a coincidence. You can say these people are just smart, and since they're so smart, they brilliantly predicted what was going on. Or you can say this was planned. There is a lot of evidence that this was planned. This is only one of them. So I'll be putting together a compilation video showing you all kinds of different evidence that suggests that this whole thing was planned. So again, make sure to subscribe, guys. Give me a like. I'm sorry to ask you 3 times in the same video, but no one is seeing these things, and I feel like I'm over here talking to myself because my channel got deleted a few years ago, and I haven't been able to build up my subscribers yet. So I'm not very motivated to do videos because I could be doing other things I want to do, but I'm doing this to help save the world, and that is my purpose. I have, no plan on making any money off of this anytime soon. I am not bought out. I'm not biased. I'm just searching for the truth and sharing it as I see it, guys. So thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you think I should do a video on, you can leave a comment down below and let me know. I need some help. I'm doing all of this on my own, so it's a labor of love, but it's also very time consuming, and there are other things I want to do. So if you find something that you haven't seen anyone else cover, send me an email, info@theawarenessrevolution.com. Leave a comment below. Let's get the conversation going. Let's wake people up while we still have a chance. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for being a part of the awareness revolution. Together, we're going to all do our part to save the world.